We are glad you've joined us to hear this message from Center of Hope Victory Church. We have a vision to release the spirit of revival and to raise up and equip Holy Spirit-led believers to do the work of the ministry. We hope you enjoy the following message.
Only knew slavery. That's all they ever knew. And if they had been there for 400 years, that means at least 10 generations of people in slavery. And of course, no matter what you believed at the beginning of the 400 years, after 400 years, those Egyptian gods and Egyptian customs became part of you. I mean, you couldn't not. I mean, let's face it, I'm going to say 10 generations, 40 years each. Whether that's right or not, I don't know, but 10 generations, every year, every generation is going to be a little bit more Egyptianized in their worship. So even if they still believed in God, they also believed in this God and this God and this, because it's pounded into them every day. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them in order because I'm going to ask you to help me on this, and I doubt I could never put them in order. What was the first plague they brought? We'll go with the first one. After that, I'll just take suggestions. What's the first one? Water turned into blood. Yeah. God turned the Nile into blood. The Egyptians had a god called Hapi, H-A-P-I, Hapi. She was the god of the Nile. She was their water bearer. So when God turned the water into blood, he's saying, Hapi is useless. I am more powerful than Hapi is, because I can take her water and make it useless for you. So the Egyptians saw that not only was God was more powerful than their god Hapi, but the Israelites could see, hey, wait a minute. God's protecting us from this as well. So there was the two sides. He was destroying it on the Egyptian side and letting the Israelites know that, you know what? We're protected by this. Now, we're not going to go through an order. What's another one of the plagues? Flies. Oh, I heard flies next. Okay. Flies. Egypt had a god called Khepri, who was the god of creation, controlled the movement of the sun, rebirth, and take a guess. What do you think when they made their idols and they pictured this god Khepri? What do you think his or her head was? A fly. The head of the god Khepri was a fly. So when God made flies, he's saying, you know what, your god Khepri? Nothing. I can so much more powerful than that one. But not only did he destroy the Egyptian god Khepri, he let the Israelites know you're protected from it as well. You know, he may have had a little bit of power, but you know what? You're protected. You don't have to worry because no flies came to them. Another one. Livestock. Hang on. There's livestock. So now that you said, I've got to go down my list and find out which one it is. The Egyptian had a god called Hathor, who was the Egyptian goddess of love and protection. And when it was put in pictures, its head was a cow. So God is saying, you know what, this God you've got, this goddess Hathor, that controls your love and your protection, nothing. I have more control than it does, because I can kill everything that's associated with it. He killed the livestock. That was what Khepri, or Hathor's head was. So he's saying, look, I can destroy this, plus you Israelites, you're protected. You don't have to worry about this one anymore. Gnats. That's the same as lice, isn't it? Yes. Okay. Well, we'll get there, just one at a time. Don't get too excited on me. I got to figure these out. The Egyptian had a goddess or god. I'm not sure, Ged or Jeb, G-E-B, Geb. And it was a goddess over the dust on the earth. And what to say the gnats came up like? Like dust everywhere. So God is saying to the Egyptians, this goddess is useless. I have control over this one. And to the Israelites, he's saying, you're protected from it. Don't have to worry about it, because you can see I can make the dust come up and destroy their god, and nothing came upon you, so you're all protected. Another one. Frogs. Where's our frogs? There they are. Frogs is Egyptian god Heket, who was the Egyptian goddess of fertility, water, renewal, and her head was depicted as a frog. So again, God saying, you've got this goddess with a frog head, forget it. I can make frogs anywhere I want and just overtake your land. But again, destroyed it on the Egyptian side, protection on the Israelite side. Okay, another one. Boils. Yep. The Egyptian god Isis was the Egyptian goddess of medicine and peace. Well, boils, obviously if you got boils, medicine you should have medicine for it, but the Egyptians had these boils, no medicine, so their Egyptian goddess Isis was useless for them. But again, protection on the Israelite side. I don't know. Wasn't pictures of all these, I was just reading, so they didn't tell me what the head was like on all of them. I'm not sure what Isis looked like. There's a good question. Anyway, yeah, not all of them I don't have all of them what they look like, just what they controlled sometimes. Okay, so we got 4 left. What's another one? Pardon? I'm going to leave that to the last for a reason, but you're right, that is one of them. Darkness. The Egyptians had the sun god called Ra, who was their sun god. So when God made it dark for that time, he's saying to the Egyptians, your sun god is useless. He's supposed to be controlling the sun here. I can make it dark whenever I want to. But the Israelites, again, protected. So there's 2 sides to all this, destroying in the Egyptians' eyes, protection in the Israelite eyes. Okay, there's 2 more left other than the first one. Pardon? Hail, yes. The Egyptian god. Now it's spelled N-U-T, but I don't want to say nut. I want to say newt. Nut sounds like it's, being mean to the poor god, but no. Anyway, Egyptian goddess of the sky. She was their goddess of the sky. So when God rained down hail, he's saying, look, I control the sky. Your God does not control the sky. I control the sky. But I will also protect the Israelites. So again, that 2-sided. He's destroying on one side, protecting on the other side. Locust, right. You got it all written down, have you? Anyway, locust. Locust is the last one before darkness. And locust is the Egyptian god Set, or Seth. We'll get to him again later. He's the Egyptian god of storms and disorder. And obviously, locusts were a disorder, and they came in like a storm. Just there's a big cloud of them. So, again, destruction on the Egyptian side, protection on the Israelite side. Then the last one, which we've already mentioned, was the one of darkness. No, it wasn't darkness, sorry, death of the firstborn. What was Pharaoh in Egypt? He was more than just a king. He was a god. They considered Pharaoh as their god. He wasn't just the king. He was the king, but he was also a god to them. And as in first succession in most kingly lines, the firstborn becomes the next king. So by destroying the firstborn, he's saying, Pharaoh, you're not in control. But again, for the Israelites, no problem. Now the Israelites was if you do what you're told. Because I'm sure there were some Israelites who did not kill the lamb and put blood on the doorposts. Like I said, they had been in this slaves for 400 years. So some of them must have said, you know what? I don't believe this. I'm not going to put the blood on the doorpost. It doesn't say none of them did. But it just, to me, makes sense. There must have been at least one Israelite that said, well, I'm not going to bother with it. But again, there was also Egyptians who would say, wait a minute, we've just had these 9 things go through. The Israelites are saying, if we put blood on the doorpost, we're going to be safe from this last one. I'm going to do what they're doing. So I'm sure there was a crossover on both. Some Israelites decided not to. Some Egyptians decided they would. And God protected those who obeyed him. Not necessarily protect Israelites or Egyptians, protected those who obeyed him. Now we're going to Exodus 14, verse 2. Remember, the people have left Israel. or left Egypt. They've already left Egypt. Pharaoh said, yes, go. And they've gone off, and they've been gone for approximately 3 days. And it says, speak to the children of Israel that they turn and encamp before Pihahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon. Before it you shall encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness has shut them in, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon the host, all his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord, and they did so. What I find amazing, I didn't realize, I thought they just wandered off in the desert and went to the Red Sea. They wandered off for 3 days. God said, whoa, I want you to back up. If you were wandering away from the Egyptians, you know they're going to come after you. You've gone for 3 days, and Moses, through God, says, oh, we're going to turn back and go back towards Egypt for 2 days. How many would say, sounds like a good idea? Not me. I would say, no, let's keep going the way we're going. But God told them, no, go back. So they doubled back 2 days' journey. So they're going back up to where they're supposed to be, which makes no sense. And it says between Migdol and the sea, before a place called Pihahiroth. Yeah, no easy names in the Bible. And it says, now that seems obvious, that seems obvious enough where to camp. Near Pihahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. Pretty specific, if you ask me. But then God adds, against Baal-zephon. Anybody recognize part of that name? Baal. Baal-zephon was, hang on. I had it down here. Baal's, because I found this confusing to go through. Okay, Baal is the lord of the owner of something, and Zephon is the Hebrew word for north. So Baal-zephon was, in the Egyptian eyes, the ruler of the north, which is where they were now camped, north of Egypt. Now, north of Egypt is in the right in the Mediterranean Sea, so north is off to the side to where they're camped. So God has told them, camp before the Pihahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, very specific, and against means in the presence of. So they're in the presence of this Egyptian god. God is saying, camp here in the presence of this Egyptian god. Doesn't sound like a good idea to me if I'm one of the Israelites, but that's what God told them to do. And in verse 3, it said, Pharaoh will say to the children of Israel, they are entangled, which it means perplexed, imprisoned, locked in, secured in a place of tears, in the land wilderness has shut them in. Because Pharaoh, this is one of Egyptians' gods, Pharaoh. So Pharaoh's thinking, those 9 plagues, they sure beat us up. But you know what? Now we've got them. They've backed up to the place where Baal-zephon is in control. He's our God of the north. They have come right back up into our hand, and they are parked just where we want them. I always thought it was just a matter of Egyptians coming after them, but it looks like Pharaoh and the Egyptians actually saying, you know what? We've got them now. It's not a matter of Pharaoh said, well, we let you go, let's bring them back. It's no, we've got them. They were escaped, but now they've come back up to where we want them. And the ultimate plan for the whole thing from God is the Egyptians know that God is God. That's what he wants. And you got to think, well, didn't the 10 plagues show him that? I mean, if I was Pharaoh, I'd think, well, those 10 plagues are pretty obvious to me. But no, Pharaoh chased them after. And then there was this one god left in the Egyptians' eyes that God had not destroyed. Baal means the master, and Zephon is the north. And one of the rabbis in the 11th century evidently put it this way. He said that Baal-zephon, because he was the god of that desert area of the north, he had the power to prevent the slaves from going there. That was his land. That's the land of the God that God controlled. So if he controlled it, the Israelites couldn't escape through it because he had control. And they also had that Egyptian god Set, which we said before, the Lord of the northern sky, God of the desert, storms and violence. So the Egyptians are looking for these two gods for help. And this one god, Baal-zephon, is the only one left. So Pharaoh thought they're trapped. Baal-zephon's in charge. They're trapped. We have them. But then verse 4, God says, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Now that hardened the heart, always a word that intrigued me. It's the exact same word in Joshua, where Joshua is told, be strong and of good courage. Exact same word. Joshua is being told, take what's right down in your heart, make it strong so it will come up and do what you need to do. So basically, when he hardened Pharaoh's heart, he's saying to Pharaoh, I'm going to take what's deep down in your heart and bring it to the top. Like Pharaoh wanted to kill them all along, but he gave up and said, no, we're going to let them go now because our gods are defeated. But still down in here, he's saying, no, we want those Israelites dead. So God took that thing deep in his heart, hardened his heart to bring it to the surface and say, you know what? This is what I want. Your deep, deep heart thoughts, and it's going to be the end of you. But he had to bring it to the surface so Pharaoh would do what deep in his heart he wanted to do. Joshua, deep in his heart, wanted to conquer the promised land. So God said, I'm going to take what's deep in your heart, bring it up, make it strong in you so you can do what you want to do, what you need to do. He's doing the same with Pharaoh. Bring what's deep in your heart. You want those Israelites dead. I'm going to bring it to the surface, and you're going to go after them. Because really, yeah, when you think of it, though, the Red Sea opens. If I was a Pharaoh and the Red Sea opened, these Israelites go through, I would think, oh, wait a minute. I don't know about this. Because really, I don't know how deep the Red Sea was. It wasn't, the Reed Sea, foot and a half deep. It was a sea. It was 10, 20, even let's say 30 feet deep, which I'm sure it was much deeper than that. Think the height of this building. The water's that high on each side of you. I'm not going in. I'm going to say, you Israelites go. Because remember, Pharaoh still felt his God was in control now. He said, the Israelites have gone into the water. My God, Baal-zephon, is going to take them and kill them, and that's the end of them. And he says, you know what? It's my God in control now. We're going to go right in after them and kill them all. Because my God is in control. Guess what happened? Yeah. Their God wasn't in control, but Pharaoh chased them because he thought his God was in control. I wouldn't have gone into water 30 feet high on each side, but Pharaoh took his army in, and that was the end of them. So now, this one I had to think through. God didn't destroy all the Egyptian gods because they're not real. How can you destroy something that's not real? I had to really work through this one. It wasn't real, but God destroyed their belief in their gods. The God, yes, there were spirits behind the gods, but the God itself wasn't real. It was just a picture on the wall or a statue. So he really couldn't destroy the God. He had to destroy the Egyptians' belief in those gods, which he did. He carried out an act to show the people their pretend gods were incapable of anything. The one God was the one in control. Their pretend gods weren't in control. Now we know the rest of the story. Egypt was defeated, buried in the sea. That was the end of them. So it shows the ultimate power of God. But really, when you look at, all these nice Old Testament accounts, I don't like the word stories because stories sometimes give the impression they're not true. They're accounts. This Old Testament account, well, it's a great account. Is that all it is? Just a nice account of something that happened, 4,000 years ago? No, it's there they're all there for a reason. There's a purpose in that story for us today. Now, we realize, again, using the Old Testament terms, there's still some Egypt in all of us. None of us are perfect. No, okay. No hands went up. I'll assume we agree on that one. None of us are perfect. We've all still got a little bit of Egypt, in a way, still in us somewhere. And if that little bit of Egypt is still in us somewhere, maybe we're looking to something else sometimes that we shouldn't be looking to. Not saying we bow down and worship gods, but there's something we may look to help us out when really God should be where we look to rather than something else that we look to. There are many, many gods in society that again, they wouldn't say they're gods, but we have many, not we as in people, but we as in the world, have many gods in society we look to. I mean, money. Money is a god in the world. Fame is a god in the world. I mean, some of us, our pension plan can become a god to us. Hey, it keeps me. It's my pension plan keeps me. No, it's not my pension plan that keeps me. But there are so many gods that we can look up to in the world that we don't consider gods. We just look at them as something, well, it's just something, money's good. If I got lots of money, life will be good. If I got fame, life will be good. If I've got this, life will be good. We're looking to those things. Again, not we, it's each one of us individually. But we as a world look to those things as God to help us out. And they're not going to help us out. They might help us out in the short term, but let's face it, when it comes to the end, the end day, judgment day, I have this God here that's supposed to help me. It is not going to help you. And God has to get into us that he is the only one that can help us. In Exodus 14:13, this is after the Israelites have gone through the Red Sea. The Red Sea is still up on the sides. The Egyptians are in the dry part. And Moses said, again through God, "Fear not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today." Now I often wonder, why just stand still? Does that really make any sense? Fear not, stand still. I mean, to me, that's what stand still is. Well, if you look at it, stand still isn't the actual, that's the word the English translators have put in. The literal translation of the word is station yourself. Totally, to me, a totally different meaning. Fear not, station yourselves. You've witnessed all those other gods destroyed. Now you're facing the Egyptians. Station yourself. Now, to me, station yourself as in face them. Again, I'm reading into this what I think the word means. Station yourself. Stand there, still, yes. Face them. Don't turn your back on them. As in fear, face them. Say, look them in the eye. Let them know that you're not afraid of them. Let them know that you are the one that's going to have the control on this. And if you look up the words arise, shine, think about it for a minute. Does arise, shine sound like station yourself? To me, they do. Anyway, arise, 3 Hebrew letters. Take the letters, means surround, a connection between earth and heaven, and knowledge. And if you look at that word arise, other places translate it as establish. Arise, shine, establish yourself. Arise, station yourself. Same thing. Surround yourself or establish yourself with the knowledge that will connect you to heaven. That's all that matters to us. The knowledge that connects us to heaven. That's what we need in our lives, not these Happy, Heket, Geb, Kepri, all those Egyptian gods and all those other idols they have. We need the knowledge that connects us to heaven. That's the arise. Shine. Again, 3 Hebrew letters mean the headship of God, connection between earth and heaven again, and the Holy Spirit. And that word is also translated enlightened. So arise, shine means establish yourself, enlighten yourself. Position yourself, station yourself, facing the enemy so you'd show no fear. Arise, shine, in itself it means it's good. Arise, shine. But there's so many deeper meanings you can take from this, and when we're doing the Hebrew, that's what I find. It can mean one thing to me, not something totally different to something else, but a different aspect of it to somebody else. Like arise, shine can mean just stand up, let your light shine, like God said, and Jesus said in the New Testament about, a light on a hill. Arise and shine. Be the light on the hill. But to me, it's a lot deeper than that. It's, establish yourself with God. Arise, shine, enlighten yourself with what God wants you to know, and make sure that's what gets out from you. Not just all this other stuff that's, in the world that, my goodness, all this stuff can go on, we have to remember that God is the one who tells us to arise, shine, and he would want to tell us to arise, shine unless it was for our good. So we have to rise, shine the way he wants us to arise, shine, not the way I want to arise, shine. Now, granted, you may not say, well, I don't know what it means yet. Well, start arising and shining the way you think it is. And if you're connected to heaven, God will tell you how to arise, shine. And your arise, shine might not be the same as my arise, shine. Your arise, shine might be, I don't know, something different. My arise, shine, I know, is go to these seniors' homes and sing. That is part of my arise, shine. That doesn't mean every one of you now have to sign up somewhere and go to a senior's home and sing, because that's what arise, shine means. No, arise, shine will be a different aspect for you. Arise, shine for you might be, I've got a neighbor over there that looks kind of sad. Maybe I'll go over and talk to them today. That could be your arise, shine. Your arise, shine could be, I'm going to go to Bible college. That could be your arise, shine. Who knows? But the only way to know is, how do you start a journey? By taking a step. I've heard many people say, well, I'm going to wait and see what God wants me to do. And they sit and they wait and they wait and they wait. And God said, come on, start walking. Well, I want to know what I got to do first. No, start walking. And sometimes that's what you need to do, start walking. And if you walk and God says, well, wait a minute, that's not quite right. I want you to go this way a little bit. But you can't steer a car that's not moving. The car's got to move before you can steer it. God's the same way with us with arise, shine. If you want to arise and shine, you've got to start something. And once you've started, God can say, no, this way or no, that way. You've got to be moving to be steered. And I know when I retired, I was kind of not concerned, like, what am I going to do now? Because I was told when I started teaching, retired teachers die very young because they teach till the end and they go home and sit down and do nothing. This was back in the 70s when most of them were older people they worked right to the end. And they said, make sure you have something to do. And I said, okay, what am I going to do? And I stepped out and did something, and I realized after about 6 months, no, that's not it. But I tried something, and I realized when I just had to keep trying places, and it came in almost as an accident as singing in these seniors' homes. It was all because of a man who was in hospital. I had planned to go here. But it was, okay, I'll go through the story. A man I knew was in hospital. I detested hospitals. Just, the smell, just that, I could not stand going in hospitals. My mom was in hospital a long time when I was a child, when I was younger. I did not like visiting her in hospital. The smell, everything. And what do you say to a person in hospital? How you doing? Well, you're not doing good, so I just did not want to go there. But I had been with this gentleman to sing in parks and stuff, and I never understood why. Like, why am I going to these parks and singing? There's like one person in the park listening. But he would go and I'd sing a few songs, he'd preach, and I would just say, I don't know why we're doing this. But I was obedient because she had asked me, and I went in to visit him. Somebody said, this gentleman needs visitors. He's really depressed, so I went in to see him. Took my guitar, figured I'd sing a few songs. I'm thinking he'd be, sitting in the hospital, and I go in and he's laying on the bed. I'm going to say unconscious, drugged up. I don't know what he was. He was just laying there, eyes closed. So I started to leave. And the nurse saw me with the guitar and said, well, sing him a song. He might hear. And I just kind of looked, yeah, right. She said, no, sing him a song. So his favorite song was The Old Rugged Cross. So I sat there, sang The Old Rugged Cross, and I got to the part, and I'll cherish the old rugged cross, and he sang, I'll exchange it someday for a crown. Like, to me, that was like my arise, shine moment. All of a sudden, hospitals didn't bother me. Like, in the worldly sense, I could tell you, I have no clue why. Like, that first 5 minutes, I couldn't stand being. The next 5 minutes didn't faze me at all. Like, God did it for me, but I had to take out and do that step to arise, shine. It's not a matter of, I'm going to wait until God tells me to arise, shine. He might. It's going to be different for everybody. But that was my arise, shine moment, looking back. When I sang for him, and the lady in the hospital said, I came and sang one Sunday for Christmas, because it was just before Christmas. Will you come back after Christmas? I said, yeah, okay. Like, I didn't know, so I came back after Christmas, and I'm sang every Sunday after Christmas for a while, and somebody came through, and one day said, would you come to this, it was Princess Court, it was a seniors home at the time. She said, would you come to Princess Court and sing? Okay. People just kept saying, would you come to the seniors home and sing? Like I said, it was a rise, shine moment, but I had to take that step first, even though it was a step I didn't particularly want to take. When I went to sing in the parks with him, I didn't mind it, but I didn't see the point in it. Like I said, we'd go to the park in Tiverton, and they'd set up all the sound stuff, and I'd sing a few songs to this empty park, and he'd get up and preach to this empty park. Oh, there's a person here today, yay! Like, I really didn't see the sense in it. But looking back, I now understand the total sense of it because the sound was going out. And there was that first step of I wasn't sure if this was right or not. And I really wasn't looking for an arise, shine moment. But that is what it turned out to be. God established me in a place. He enlightened me on what I needed to do. I had, I always had to look this word up. Paper I find is usually easier. I don't get lost as quickly, but I'm lost this time. Stationed, that's what I'm looking. He stationed me. So he established me, he enlightened me, and he stationed me. Because I took the chance to take a step out on something I wasn't sure about, to say, okay, God, I want to arise, shine for you somehow, but I don't have a clue how to do it. So he took me, guided me, and allowed me to rise, shine. He did. He aligned it all up for me. Now, again, I take this back to that Egyptian thing because the Israelites, they were lost. 400 years of slavery, 400 years of Egyptian gods, 400 years of being told the God of gods is not the one you need. These are the ones you need. They had no idea where they're going. They were told, go. They went away from Egypt for 3 days. God says, go back. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of them are saying, I don't know about this, God, but you said go back, so we're going to go back. Now you got the water up 30 feet, and you said, just walk through the middle of the water. Oh, God, I don't know if I want to do that, but you know what? You said it, so I'm going to start walking through the middle of this water, Can you imagine what it would have been like? Think about it for a minute. I mean, a wall's been, you're walking through water, and I'm sure it's not just like glass. It's water churning and bubbling and stuff on both sides of you, and you're walking through the middle and looking around and thinking, why is this safe? But they were obedient to what God told them to do. And then when they got to the other side, he said, station yourself, rise and shine. Now's your time to move on.
We hope you enjoyed this message. For more information about Center of Hope Victory Church, please visit centerofhopevictory.com.